UFOs aren't a new phenomenon. Indeed, for millennia, humans have been reporting strange flying objects with images of disc-like objects and strange atmospheric phenomena appearing in the art and literature of ancient civilizations ranging from the Sumerians and Egyptians to the Greeks and Romans. However, the modern era of UFOs began in the mid-20th century, exactly about the time that rockets and high-tech aircraft were being developed, frequently in secret. Join us today as we investigate some bizarre alien encounters that will leave you stunned. The Belgian Wave. At the end of November 1989, Belgians reported seeing a huge triangular UFO hovering in the sky. Aside from the visual observations, no evidence of the existence of a UFO was discovered. A few months later, in March 1990, two military ground radar sites confirmed further sightings of several objects. Two F-16 fighter jets were dispatched to investigate the anomalies, and despite the fact that the pilots couldn't see anything, they were able to lock onto their targets using radar. However, the UFOs moved so quickly that the pilots lost sight of them. It is claimed that 13,500 people witnessed the encounter, making it one of the most widely witnessed UFO sightings of the present era. The Belgian Air Force had no rational explanation for the activity, but it acknowledged that something unusual had occurred in the air. The Belgians contacted the UK Ministry of Defence to further investigate, but once it was decided that the occurrence was not hostile or violent, the investigation was halted. The Great Alien Invasion of Zimbabwe. In 1994, 60 students at Ariel School in Rua, Zimbabwe, reported seeing a UFO and aliens with enormous eyes in the bushes surrounding their school. The news quickly spread throughout the world, and people began to converge at the place to speak with the students and teachers about their odd experience. The children claimed to have seen an unknown UFO drop from the sky and land in a nearby field. The episode that became known as the Ariel School phenomenon in UFO circles began on a relatively routine day. While the teachers were inside for a faculty meeting, some students claimed to have seen a silvery disc land on a hill just outside of boundaries. The kids allegedly went to the edge of the school grounds to get a closer look, with some reporting to see figures emerge from what they described as a craft. After the break, the youngsters narrated the occurrence to their teachers, which they claimed lasted up to 15 minutes, but it was met with much justified skepticism. However, when they spoke with their parents that night, they had questions for the faculty. With this encouragement and the participation of a local UFO researcher, the school's principal encouraged the students to draw what they had seen. They returned with photographs of silvery classic UFO-type craft, sometimes with alien figures standing nearby. It looked like it was glinting in the trees like a disc, like a round disc, one witness told the BBC a few days later. "I noticed something silver on the ground between the trees and a person in black," remarked another. Cynthia Hind, a local UFO researcher, questioned the children the day following the encounter. What Hind found interesting was that the students who came from diverse backgrounds, but were all from wealthy families because the tuition was expensive, described themselves as having similar features to the figures in the UFO, despite interpreting the phenomena in vastly different ways based on their upbringing. Hind argued that the various interpretations, which were supported by identical drawings and descriptions, provided credence to the assumption that the youngsters all experienced the same occurrence. The youngsters were then interviewed by John Mack, a Harvard professor of psychiatry, and a new narrative evolved in which the children described receiving telepathic communications from aliens propagating an environmental message. Following the announcement of the airborne school tragedy, there was a widespread fear and panic in Africa. While no one has a conclusive explanation for the incident of their day, it remains an unsolved enigma of alien encounters. Travis Walton UFO sighting. On November 5, 1975, Travis Walton, an American forestry worker working with a timber stand improvement crew in the Apache Sitgraves National Forest near Snowflake, Arizona, witnessed something strange. They apparently witnessed a saucer-shaped object hovering over the ground around 110 feet away, emitting a high-pitched buzz, while riding in a pickup with 6 of his co-workers. Walton alleges that when he neared the object after leaving the truck, a beam of light from above the spaceship knocked him out. The other 6 men, reportedly afraid, fled in the vehicle. Walton reported he woke in a hospital-like situation surrounded by 3 short, fearsome monsters. He claimed he resisted them until a human with a helmet brought Walton to another room where he blacked out, and 3 more humans placed a clear plastic mask over his face. Walton and his co-workers were awarded $5,000 by the National Enquirer for the best UFO case of the year after passing a polygraph test performed by the Enquirer and the Aerial Phenomena Study Organisation. After his UFO account went viral, Walton wrote a book called The Walton Experience documenting his claims, which became the foundation for the 1993 film Fire in the Sky. While some people accept Walton's narrative, others feel it was an elaborate deception designed to make him a star and gain attention. But nobody knows what the truth is behind his story. UFO Dogfight. In the North Dakota Air National Guard, Gorman, then 25 years old, flew fighter aircraft as a second lieutenant. On October 1, 1948, this job placed him behind the controls of a P-51 Mustang, taking part in a cross-country fly with other National Guard airmen. Gorman was in the air to get some night flying experience in the clear skies when he noticed what he thought was the tail light of another craft passing on the right. But because the tower's radar showed no additional objects, he opted to take a closer look. Gorman flew up and closed within approximately 1,000 yards of the object, which he described as 6 to 8 inches in diameter, clear white with no fuzz around the sides, and blinking on and off. However, when Gorman got closer, the light became steady and pushed into a sharp left bank. Gorman spent 27 minutes performing aerial maneuvers with a flying thing before deciding to land his plane. He also reported briefly blacking out as a result of the extreme speed he achieved while attempting to turn with the object. Gorman wasn't the only one who noticed the strange object that night. Other air traffic controllers stationed at Hector Airport witnessed it as well. They reported sighting the object travelling at a high rate of speed, close enough to Gorman's fighter to increase the distance between itself and it. The item appeared to be merely a circular light, fully formed with no fuzzy borders or rays escaping its body, according to air traffic authorities. The Gorman dogfight is still considered one of the great UFO sightings and is undoubtedly fascinating. The Blip. Colonel Lee, commander of the airbase in Changzhou, where the Military Flight Training Academy is located, described an unidentifiable blip hovering over the academy on October 19, 1998. After determining that the intruder was not on a military or commercial plane, he directed a fighter jet from the 6th Squadron to take off and intercept the UFO. The thing was seen by at least 140 observers on the ground. To spectators at the base, the UFO looked to be a little pointed star that got larger and larger as it dropped to a lower height. Witnesses described a mushroom-shaped dome on top and a flat bottom covered with dazzling, constantly rotating lights. The 6th Interceptor's crew comprised of a pilot and a radar officer. The 2 officers noted that the thing looked just like it does in foreign science fiction movies. When they reached within 4,000 meters of the UFO, it quickly flew upwards, effortlessly dodging further approaches. The flight crew stated that it appeared to be teasing the jet by continually outdistancing it and then reappearing directly above it. The pilot asked permission to fire on the UFO using the plane's automatic 20mm cannon, but Lee refused and urged him to continue pursuing and observing the object. When the plane's fuel ran out, the pilot decided to ditch pursuit at an altitude of 12,000 meters. The UFO then vanished before Lee could dispatch other planes to the region, leaving the encounter a mystery. David Eckart's alien experiences. Another account that appears to divide opinion within the UFO community is David Eckart's alien abduction and contact case. Since the early 2000s, the Eckart family, particularly David Eckart, has had frequent alien contact and abductions from their home in the Milton area of Pensacola, Florida. According to Eckart, he and his family began to notice abnormal activity surrounding their home, which led to encounters with unusual creatures such as small individuals with large black eyes and even extraterrestrial abductions. Furthermore, Eckart believes these connections took place long before they moved to Milton's peaceful urban home. Even as a child, he claims to have had vague memories of odd Muppets sleeping on his bunk. When David first arrived at Florida, he went on a weekend getaway with his buddies and noticed an unusual light passing at high speed above the trees where they were planning to make up camp. The friends group was having a good time, so they disregarded it and started setting up camp when Eckart noticed the unusual light again. it seemed to be coming from within the woods. Eckhart claimed that the object was so close to them that he could hear it moving through the air. When the light reappeared, Eckhart attempted to follow it, but failed since the item emitting the tremendously bright light was only visible for a few milliseconds. Eckhart tracked and lost the object for half an hour, but it eventually entered the lake near the campground, so the group began packing to depart. Eckhart recalled meeting a unique creature with a peculiar aroma that he could detect from several paces distant before disappearing. He reported that upon closer inspection, the figure resembled a toddler who had matured into an elderly person. The creature was able to flee, but Eckhart had vivid dreams about the strange meeting. Not only that, but Eckhart and his family began hearing unusual noises and suspected that someone was in their home. On several instances, the camera Eckhart set in his home to investigate what was going on captured absolutely odd photos. One of the more intriguing pieces of film caught by the Eckharts was an apparent reptile-type entity entering their bedroom through some kind of suddenly appearing doorway. What makes this video so intriguing is that both David and his wife were in bed and awake at the time of the incident, but they saw nothing out of the norm. It was only after reviewing the footage that they discovered it. Eckhart and his family had several encounters with reptilian-like beings. While some believe they were reptile overlords or demons from hell, others claim Eckhart saw aliens visit Earth through a hidden door in the family's living room. Let's hear what you have to say about these encounters in the comments.